Thanks for joining us today on The Perfect X. My name is Sherry, and this is my co host, Leigh.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about how many dates do you need in order to know? So, yeah, we're going to ask you about that, especially since you ended up dating someone who's your friend. But before we get to that, how was your weekend? How was the birthday party for your girls?
Oh, it was good. Yeah, all her shit. I don't know where all these people came from, but she had all her friends came, and they had tons of fun, and they were full of sugar and carrying on. We went to like a local, I think it was one of the dance studios, but they rented out for parties and stuff, so there lots of room for the kids to run around and everything. So it was bananas.
Well, when I went to go look to see your daughter's birthday, I saw that your wife's birthday is a couple of days before, no?
Yeah, her whole family's like within like a week of each other. Like her, so Taryn's is the 26th, and then her brother and sister are twins, and theirs are the 29th.
I think I met her brother before,
Yeah, he
once at
was
your
at
house.
yeah, and then Ariana's and Taryn's dad are both November 3rd.
So did they have a joint? Because I saw it was just your daughter's birthday. Did they have a joint birthday
No, and
together?
then
No.
her cousin is like the day before, the day after as well. It's just they're all like within like a week of each other.
My sister and I are 13 years and 1 day apart.
Holy.
I know. I know. You know when my parents are getting it on. But okay, well, this is a really interesting topic because and oh, I gotta tell you one thing before we jump into this. If we have enough time, I had some Tinder messages that I saved to read to you so you can laugh.
Oh Lord.
But I'll either do it today or if we have time, we'll do it our next podcast. But so I'll have to remember to tell you that. But anyways, okay, so you ended up liking someone who was your friend first,
Hmm.
which is interesting because I mean, everyone's goal, I think, I mean, my goal is to end up marrying my best friend. And obviously, having a friendship first is the best way to get in a relationship.
I think
But
so.
definitely, definitely. And it really is. But I've actually never, and I've always had guy friends. I've had you and your whole crew were all a bunch of guys. I don't know if you remember all my guy friends that I grew up with. Like, I've always had guy friends. I've never had a guy friend that I grew to like. I've always loved them like I would love my brother.
Hmm.
Hence why they were a friend and not a guy friend. I've had guys I've hung out with, maybe sort of dated, and then became friends with, but not the other way around.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a hard thing. And nowadays, and I don't know if you hear this with your single friends too, like they always say, like, go on at least 3 dates with someone. If there's like a little bit of commonality between you or like some interest, give them at least 3 dates.
Hmm.
And I'm on the perception, knowing that the best type of relationship is based off of friend. Even with that in mind, I feel like after I've had one date where I don't feel a spark, that's it. There's no point in a second or third.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like have that gut instinct and they just kind of can make a decision pretty fast, you know?
But then you also have to even talk to all the people who have ended up liking and dating their friends. So it's like, which way is better? This is one topic that I actually am very torn on. Like, I know how I feel in those situations. And I also know when people tell me to do opposite, give someone 3 days, give them 3 to 5 days, get to know them, be friends with them first. I also agree with that too. So it is very fucking
I
confusing because
think it's
I've
just
gone,
it's just based on it's case by case. Because for me, like I think pretty much everyone I've dated has been like someone that it was like a slow burn. Like I don't think I just met someone and like started dating them. I think it was almost always like people I knew for a while.
interesting.
Yeah,
Because,
I
the
can't think of
two,
one person where it was like I just met them out of the blue and like started dating them.
well, okay, so the two longest relationships I've ever had were not my type. Like they weren't my type
Yeah,
at all.
yeah.
So again, that comes in the thing. Like if I hadn't gotten to know them, I wouldn't have even considered them. But one of them, my gut instinct was no. And then I got to know him and there was aspects of him that I liked. But then getting to know him further, I think I was so clear about what I wanted that I wonder if those aspects were things he faked to become my type.
Oh, maybe.
Um, which can happen because I
Or
didn't
even
feel
not
like
even deliberately, sometimes maybe you just start like shifting to what that person might want. Like if they're like, I don't want kids, and then maybe you're like, oh yeah, I don't really care one way or the other. Like maybe you start
yeah.
drifting towards what they want.
or even like taking on their hobbies, like something so small, but really genuinely you don't like doing it. But then, so maybe how long are you going to do that for, you know?
Yeah, that's a problem I find. Like a lot of people I notice that they try to like behave a certain way or act a certain way, and it's like you're just that's a nowhere road because you can't keep that up forever, you know.
You can't. And then you start to resent the person because you're like, do you know how many times I had to watch football because of you? And you're like, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
I
I don't
thought you liked.
you got to be upfront, I think, and just be like, yeah, this is, like if you're into going outdoorsy and then the other person's not, you're like, well, we don't have to do that together, like you can do your thing, but find other things that you can do together, right? It doesn't have to be everything.
So that really plays into this whole thing. Like, I believe really from the bottom of my soul, if someone doesn't look like my type, but they have the same personality traits that I appreciate, or there's a chemistry there, or there's, something about them that draws me to them that's more not physical, I 100% have no problem going for it and seeing where that goes. Because physically, and I say this to my friends all the time, and I've seen it happen so many times where, and my first long-term boyfriend wasn't physically my type. I was really into blonde hair and blue eyes, and that was like my thing.
Hmm.
And he was a brown hair guy with brown eyes. And actually, after him, I've always loved brown hair and brown eyes. And I remember when he came up to me, there was him and his blonde hair, blue eyes. And at first, I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm actually more into your friend." And he was like,
Standard.
"No,
Do you have
yeah,
this in blonde?
yeah." Well, there was one in blonde, so I was just trying to like switch over,
I can't
but
even relate. Like, I don't have like any sort of
physical type.
predispositions for that. Like, I just, yeah, like I always remember just being like young and like I'm not going to meet someone in like a bar or whatever because you can't have a conversation. Like, it's always people I've grown to
You
know. I
can.
don't think I've ever just been like hit it off with a random and based on just what they look like in a bar or something. I don't know. But again, this is all before online dating where you can kind of like filter around and see.
Looks and stuff. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. So like with that one, I'm so grateful that he became like the most attractive guy to me when he wasn't even sort of my standard of look. And I've had that many times where it can go both ways. Like I could meet a guy who's 100% my look and I don't like their personality so much that I don't find them attractive at all.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And I've seen that every time I've told a friend, they're like, "Oh, he's not my type. Like, he doesn't have like this that I like, or he doesn't have the height that I like, the eye color, like the body type that I like." And I'm like, "We'll go out with him." And I've seen them like him regardless of the physical aspects and then grow to find them physically very attractive.
I think that's how like
Or
the friend evolving into a relationship situation goes because you're probably not like thinking that way when you first start hanging around them and then you get to know them and you figure out that you have a lot in common or whatever it might be, right?
yeah, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Plus, then
But
you're not like your guard isn't up because like you're meeting people with no intention of dating them. Everyone's just sort of being themselves. You know what I mean? And then
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. That's actually true. And they're not, a friend is not going to try to go out of their way to do something to make you like them
yeah,
beyond
you just
a
see like
friendship.
the true color of that person, right?
That's true. But then I think about this in the way that I generally was asking a question to begin with, and I think, like I go on dates with guys and I don't feel that chemistry. And people sometimes always say, "Oh, give them a couple more times." And I feel like we're a generation now that we know and understand ourselves so well. So I feel like, "Oh, well, I know myself so well. Why should I go on 3 dates? I didn't feel anything for them." And so many times people tell me like, "No, go on 3 to 5 dates. Maybe you don't really know that. Maybe they're not really presenting themselves. Maybe they're not this, maybe they're not that." And it's like, I'll do it, and every time I've regretted it. I'm like,
Yeah,
fuck, I knew on the first date, personality wise, they weren't a fit. But I've also seen the exact opposite, where I've seen, I mean, I just recently met this girl and she was like, "Oh, I have a date with this guy." She was like talking and she's like, "Our first 2 dates were so bad. I don't want to go on a third date." And on the third date, after she said, "I really, really like him."
hmm.
And it is true. Like people do hold back on their personalities. They can.
Yeah, I
They
could definitely
might.
see people having a hard time like just being themselves right off the hop, right?
So it's the old age question. How many dates do you go on to know?
I,
Like
I
I
think well, girls always seem to have this like gut instinct about what's right, and for me, like I said, I've no personal firsthand experience because I've never like met someone cold like out of the blue, like say a blind date or something with the intention of potentially dating them. It's never been gone that way for me. I've always just met people out partying and doing whatever, right?
I know a friend I had, I won't name names, but I had a friend I had that was your age group and you he was sort of on the outskirts of your social circle, and then I became really good friends with him. And you said you hated him, you wouldn't come over my house when he was there at first, and then you finally met him and you ended up loving him, and he was like your favorite person after that.
Hmm.
Do you know who I'm thinking about?
I'm trying to, not off the top of my head, but I'm sure it'll come to me. But
You hate he wasn't in your high school, put it that way.
yeah, I vaguely remember like one guy. I don't know if it's the same guy,
I'll
but
text
yeah, there's
I'll text you the
any
name.
revolving door of guys that were.
I'm gonna text you. I never dated him. He wasn't someone I dated. He was just a friend of mine.
Well, that's your problem. You
And
got along with everybody, so you just like bring all these people around, and yeah,
but that's you were talking about people you thought you were like. You were like, there's no way I hate this guy, hate this guy, hate this guy. And then I'll never forget. I had like a bunch of people at my house, and then you were like, you and him just hit it off right off the bat. And then like I moved into like downtown, so I never really saw anybody anymore. And you and him like hung out so much after. Did you check your text to see who I'm
I
talking
do.
about?
I know you said that. I don't remember. Like my memory's so bad though, but like I know who you mean, who it is. Obviously, you texted me, but I don't recall like
Hating
spending
him.
much time with them. You know what I mean?
Oh, you did after. You hung out like a couple times after, and you were like, "Oh yeah, he's so much cooler than I thought."
Yeah,
And you had seen him before. The thing is, like, you sort of knew him before,
yeah. Through
so
like
that was
cars and stuff, probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you just never liked him, but then you
I,
ended up.
I always had like a weird thing like that. Like a lot of my friends like got along with anybody. And not that I didn't, but I kind of like kept my circle small, you know.
Mhm.
And I would
Yeah,
socialize with whoever, but I was just like, I always kind of just stuck to my few people, and then my other friends were more like they'd go all over the place doing stuff, and I would tend to like keep not as much socializing and stuff, right?
yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, I that was the only person I ever saw you say those things and then change your mind. But it
Yeah.
does give you perception. But that again goes to the perception of someone. Like I've talked to people online and even over the phone, and I had a perception of what I thought this person was like.
Hmm.
And then a couple times it's been like where I thought there's no way me and this person would connect or have any chemistry. And then when I met them in person, I completely did. I
Yeah.
was super into the situation. And I've had the exact opposite as well. I once like had this conversation with this guy for like an hour. We were laughing and everything on the phone. Oh my god, I once did even for a month with this guy because he didn't live in LA. And then
Hmm.
in person, like it just my gut felt like no fucking way. And that person was not at all, the chemistry was not there. There was no, that banter wasn't there. So I've had the misconfusion with online conversations, but in person, I've yet to see my gut change. Like I even dated a guy that every aspect, I just didn't feel more than friendship for him. And everyone kept telling me, like, no, like, don't let it pass up. This guy's great. Like, give it time, you'll fall for him. Like, there's nothing. And there really was nothing about him that I didn't like. I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
And we hung out for like 3 weeks. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. Like, I can't, like,
Hmm.
I don't feel emotionally wanting to build a relationship with you. So it's really confusing. Like when people come to me and ask me how many dates should you give, if it's based on looks, I say 100% 3 to 5.
Hmm.
If it's based on personality and feeling something, it's so hard to tell someone 3 times because they could be 3 agonizing dates.
I think that it's just the unfortunate reality of it is there's no hard fast answer. You know what I mean? Like it just is so situational, so case by case. Like you could go on a date with someone and they start treating the serving staff like garbage. And I don't need to second date to tell you that person's a prick, right? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
It's
that's
just
true.
so circumstantial. It depends on, or they're like, I never want children. And you're like, well, I do for sure. Or vice versa. You're like, well, that's just a nowhere road. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Well, you would be amazed. I tell people all the time I don't want kids. I've had so many guys tell me like, "Oh, you just haven't been in love." I'm like,
exactly. They think that'll change you, right?
mm-hmm.
Which is silly. Or I dated a girl that wanted to travel. And I'm like, I'm never gonna do that. I have no interest in it and I don't have the means to do it. So I'm like, we're wasting our time. Like I just have no desire to do that. If you want to hit me up when you're back and you're settled down or whatever, like maybe we could rekindle that. But like we're not getting anywhere with this because I'm not gonna drop everything and go travel for like a year, right?
If you got along really well with somebody and you guys had a lot of things in common, how many dates do you think you would have given it?
I'm trying to think like it's so.
I mean, like how were you even able to cross that with like you were willing to give up a friendship to see if there was a relationship with Taryn, right?
Yeah, I feel like that was like a gut instinct thing, which I don't have a lot of, you know what I mean? Like I'm not a big like gut instinct person all the time, like with stuff like that. But I think, um, yeah, you just, it's gradual because you're friends and you're not trying to put on a show or whatever for the other person. You're just being yourself and saying whatever you feel like saying because you're not trying to like, follow a narrative,
But obviously, in the beginning, you guys got along, right? So you
Yeah,
had
I
traits in
think,
common.
yeah,
But
we were,
then,
we
how
were,
many times do you think you hung out before you were like, "Oh, this is more than just a friendship"? Because you didn't look at her the first few times like that. She was a friend.
yeah, I think I did just say at one point, I was like, um, I don't know where you're at or whatever, like with your personal life and dating and stuff. And I said something to the effect of like, I would just be, I would kind of regret not saying anything about it. So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
going to say like, I could see like dating you. And I think it would definitely be worth pursuing. I'm like, but I don't know if that's where you're at or whatever. But if you ever want, if you're ever considering it and, I just know that I'm interested type of thing. I don't remember how I worded it, but I mean like immediately right now, but I'm like, just in the future, if you think that is a possibility, I'm definitely interested. So if you do want to ever go, like pursue that, like just let it be known that I'm interested kind of thing. That
Did
was
she
kind of,
say
I don't
yes?
remember how I said it. And then I just kind of like, I don't remember if she said anything directly at that moment or she claims she remembers like all this stuff too. So you can just talk to her one day, but I think she's full of shit. She just counts on the fact that I don't remember anything. And I'm like, but I don't remember offhand if she said anything to that topic in the moment. You know what I mean? I think she just kind of like digested it a little bit.
But had you hung out with her like 3 times, 5 times, months?
Oh
Like
yeah, it was
how?
probably like 5 or 10 times, right? Something like that. Like
So you would
just
say
as
it took 5 times, let's say.
At least, yeah, because like we were friends and we hung out in groups and whatever. And then a handful of times we went out on like just the two, like you and I used to, just go
Yeah,
to the mall
everybody
and like
does.
look for
Yeah,
something
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
well, I can't. One time we went
If
for
you're a
food.
friend, you hang out a
Yeah,
lot.
like one
You
time we went
you
to
do that.
bite to eat. One time we went to like just went for a walk. Like just like shit you and I used to do, just like just shoot the shit, do whatever. And then it was 5 to 10 times like that, but group hangouts before that, and then like 5 or 10 times probably just the two of us. And then I said something just to that effect, like just put it in your back pocket. Like I know you're not been single all that long and whatever. So
Because this kind of puts things into perspective because you're saying you hung out casually 5 times before you were like pretty certain you were interested.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
that puts that it kind of answers the question. I know it's a different context because you guys were generally friends,
mhm.
but it kind of puts it into a context that maybe we do need to give someone a few times because the first couple times you're not even thinking about, even if it was a different context and the fact that you guys were hanging out without dating in mind. Like if I was to meet someone online, I'm going in hoping for a relationship. So that's
Yeah.
already, that pressure's on there. But
Mhm.
sometimes you meet people and you connect, and even if that relationship thought isn't there right away, I mean, it sounds like it takes a few times. It
Yeah,
takes
I
a
just
few
don't think
times.
there's a firm answer, but I would say I would definitely lean to the side of like give it more time. You know what I mean? But
Unless
you
they
have
turn you
you
off.
do have your gut instincts about people, and then you do have some red flags or whatever you want to call them. Like the guy's like, oh yeah, I'm moving to Dubai next week for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? You're like, well, it's hardly worth pursuing. you know?
There are guys that are like that already. And I mean there are guys like just last week this guy's like, I'm considering moving to LA, but I live in Florida. It's like, well, I'm not like
Well,
a
then you're
test
just
like
like
I'm
write your phone number on the back of your W-2, and I'll get back to you.
yeah,
Is that what you guys call
your
a
credit check.
T4 a W-2 down there, right?
Yeah, yeah, we do. But I mean I'm not looking for a W-2. I'm looking for a 1099, which is someone who works for themselves.
Oh, good
but,
lord.
but,
You're looking for
but
someone with oil money, just born into
oh
it.
God. No, because they're from Texas and they're probably pretty not into brown girls like me. So but no, but you know what I'm saying? Like I mean you just put something into perspective because I have and I do know people who go out with somebody and they had a good time. Exactly like you said. You go for a walk, you go for coffee, you go for dinner, you go for drinks, you're chilling, you enjoy the person, you just don't have you're not sure if you have romantic feelings yet.
hmm
But if there's no red flags, then we should give it time. I
Yeah, as long as you enjoy hanging out
haven't
with a
had that.
person.
Yeah, I haven't had that happen for me personally. So that's why I have a hard time telling other people to do it. But I always tell them when it comes to looks. But when it comes to emotions, I'm like, it's up to you if you're in the mood to go out 3 or 5 times. But I do agree with you because you're not I have a few friends that are married, and you're not the first one to say. I hung out with them a few times, and then I was like, hey, actually, I have romantic feelings. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it seems like we have to push ourselves if there's a connection of some sort without the red flags, without
I
the
just don't.
issues.
Yeah, I just don't think for the most part you can like jump to a conclusion right off the hop. I think like it's you do have those instincts and certain things that are gonna put you off right away. But yeah, for me, like I've never like I'm not like just walking around like being the
That's
hottest guy
impressive.
on the earth. So like I have to like fucking
You are good looking. We should tell our listeners he's a good looking guy. He's not ugly.
oh good lord,
But
time
but
makes fools of us all. But
I think I'm losing my eyesight anyways.
yeah, exactly, yeah, yeah.
No.
They
But I mean, oh, go
go ahead.
ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say like there's like so much of like with me and like the people I build relationships with, it's just over time. Like I can't imagine just walking through a bar and like just picking pointing at some chick and be like, let's get out of here, whatever. Like it's never, not that many people do that, but like you could. For me, it's always been a slow burn. Like it's just been like
Well,
I,
you know what it is there's two sides to this. One is like it's really hard, and your personality and mine is very different in that sense. For instance, you're someone who you make jokes and you're actually talkative. People think that you are like socially, because you are social with them, but knowing you actually present your full true self in time. You know what I'm trying to say? Like
mhm.
someone would be confused. Like if we're in a gathering, you're talking to people. It's not like you're rude. You talk to people, you crack jokes, you're funny, you're easy to talk to. So people think, oh wow, he's so great, he's so easy to talk to. That must be Leigh. But people who've known you over time know there's actually so many different aspects of you that comes out with time, right?
Yeah,
So when you put that into perspective, it makes you think, oh, you should actually try to spend time and get to know people, because people do show different aspects of themselves. And I have a friend of mine here. He's like the same way. He's so friendly that people think they get to know him. But if you actually get to know him, there's so much more to him than what he shows, and that shows in time. So he is big on the fact of, he always tells me, go on 5 dates, minimum five. He always says that. But what's interesting is I have a hard time with it because I'm so like right in your face. This is who I am right off the bat. And there's
yeah.
nothing, so I assume everybody else is the same way. And I literally take someone for who they are right off the second I meet them. Like, oh, that must be all of them, because that's all of me. Like when you meet me, if you ask me something, I'm going to tell you the same thing today that I would tell you 5 years ago. You don't have to get to know me to see that. So I'm like kind of like throw up my personality on somebody, you
But I
know?
think the things that come to light over time are things that maybe people aren't even aware of about themselves to like tell you, right?
Well, that's actually interesting because I've always believed that someone is exactly who they say they are because I thought I am that way. But I recently had a friend tell me, like, you are not everything that you think you are. In the fun social aspect, yes, when you meet people, that's you. But you're actually different sides of you that are like sensitive, that only people that are close to you know.
Yeah, well,
And
you're
so
only
you're
telling them
right.
what you know about yourself. You know what I mean? Like even
And
if you're
exactly,
being
I
honest,
wasn't.
you don't know they like you're just telling people what you know. Like there's a lot of things like you say you don't know about yourself probably, right? Yeah.
I felt like I do, but you're so aware. Like I'm aware of my sensitivity, but I'm not aware of how much I don't show it. So exactly like you said. So I'm not really even aware of those aspects of myself. So
Or if
I mean, it's just
somebody if you had to like, describe yourself or say, five good things about yourself or something like that, would like other people say the same things? Like there's lots of good things, but like you might overlook something that is important to somebody else, so it may take a long time to get to know like the person like they're telling you what they think you should know, but you're like, well, what if you find out they volunteer at like some old folks home or something that they maybe wouldn't come out with and say right away, but you find out like down the road. I think it's just really hard to make any kind of
well,
to get
that's
to
the
know anybody anyway. Like like I said, if you've got your gut feelings and you're like, this person's not cutting it, but I think it would be very hard to get a really good read on a person like right off the hop.
but that's another interesting thing you say. Like, do we describe ourselves the way someone else would? Like when you're on a date nowadays, and also online, like online, there's a bio section. You're supposed to describe yourself, and so people put parts of who they think they are on there. That's how we swipe. We swipe on their looks and we swipe on how they describe themselves. And then when you go on a date, you're asking questions and asking that person to describe themselves. And you're actually right. I may describe myself one way and someone else who knows me may describe it completely differently. And when we go on dates, that's what we're kind of doing. We're describing ourselves, and that person might have so many different facets of themselves that I'm not even getting a chance to know, but I'm saying, forget him. He says he's like these five things are not that intriguing to me.
Yeah.
But
But
and
he's
those are
got
the
some
ones
other stuff that's like way more interesting that he maybe like overlooked. Like people say that to me, like, well, they'll be over and they're like, I've got all my guitars out. Like, you play guitar? I'm like, how did you not know that? But at the same time, I don't just go on about it. Like, it's just part of, what I'm doing. Or there's lots of things like people have said, like, surprise to me. Like, I do stand up comedy. I get that all the time. They're like, oh, you do like, really? Like, and I'm like, yeah, like, it's not a secret, but it just hasn't come up. Right. You know what I mean? But that might
yeah.
be really interesting to somebody or it might be off putting to somebody. But I wouldn't even think, like
To
even
describe
at
that, like
work, like, at
on a
work that
first date, would you have even said something like that?
I don't know. I probably, I guess now because it's like somewhat interesting, but like, if I'm at work, like we do all kinds of like corporate meetings and stuff, and they'll usually say, say who you are and how long you've been with the company and maybe something interesting about yourself. I've never considered to be like, oh, do stand up. It's like, I don't know. I usually say some nonsense, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff you might click with someone on the music side, like, oh, like you both are into music, but like neither of us thought to bring that up right away.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
No,
do
that's
do,
true.
it is a part of what I do, but I might not pick my guitar up for 6 months, and then other times I play it every day, right? It's just, I
And it
go,
may just not be something that you personally feel like defines you
yeah,
or
yeah,
you're comfortable defining yourself with, like you're like,
yeah.
oh, I don't want to say I'm a stand-up comedian. And then they're constantly asking me for jokes.
People do. Like I got invited to a customer's Christmas party last year. It was a pretty big company, and they were like hassling me to do stand up. I'm like, I don't just have it in my back pocket. Like it's kind of, like and
And then
you don't know the people and stuff too, right?
and then you also feel the pressure now of performing versus just being who you feel naturally being. And that so you may not even self-describe yourself that way.
Yeah, yeah. I'll usually just pull out like a really awful, like really heinous joke or something, and then no one will ask me to do stuff again.
Well, you know what's really interesting you say because on my profile I have super because I don't like to deal with sensitive people, right? So
Hmm.
and I have super sarcastic, not for the sensitive like soul or something like that on my
Yeah, but
bio.
you need someone
And
that's
then
like confident and like
and
you
that's
don't
what
need
I
to be
feel
like
like
some.
coming off.
I feel like
And
girls are put off by like any guy that's not sure of himself.
exactly, exactly. But what happens is that people then message me and they're like, "Oh, so how sarcastic are you? Oh, make a joke or what do you think?" It's like I don't like I wish I never I don't know how to describe the fact that I just don't want you to be sensitive and I
Right.
say shitty things and don't take it to heart
Yeah.
without putting
Yeah.
that line in. But then at the same time, I'm not a fucking clown. Like I'm not just sitting here with these jokes like to make. So
Yeah.
again, I almost regret putting that on my profile and have thought of taking it off and almost don't want to self-describe myself. And as society's gotten more sensitive, I find I'm not as sarcastic as I used to until I get to know someone.
Hmm.
So again, it's like something that may be a big part of my personality that I'm not comfortable self-describing. And as you're saying all of this stuff, it really makes me evaluate how I've been dating. And normally I come up with these podcast scripts and I'm sure of what I think and I have a big stance on something. And this was the one topic that I actually have never been sure about. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong or other people are doing it wrong, but you have brought up so many points that make me think that I am doing it wrong. That if there is commonality and you get along with someone and you even feel some sort of friendship, you need to give it time and you need to go 3 to 5 dates minimum because there's so many things that you're bringing up, like just self describing or not being comfortable showing aspects or not even thinking of showing aspects of yourself that won't come out till later that will make you like or that person like you or vice versa.
Yeah.
And that this is like the one topic that I was never sure about because I've yet to like the few times that I pushed myself to go on like 3 dates with someone, maybe because I felt like I had to, I went in with a grudge with the situation because I was listening to other people and it just didn't work out. And I was like, see, I know myself, I'm pretty sure. But now looking back, if I can pinpoint those people, I'm not exactly sure what it was that I didn't like about those people, except that I felt forced to be in the situation. But now I think I would want to be in the situation because of these points that you're bringing up that I didn't consider.
Yeah, I think it just takes it's so case by case, I think. But yeah, as long as you don't rush to shut it down, you know what I mean? I don't think there's any harm in dragging it out a little bit. And and back in the day, like people would date several people at once, right? You know what I mean? Like 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 I'm talking like courting days, like in like the 50s or whatever, right? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so like I don't think that that's like played off as like you're playing the field and you're doing something you shouldn't
No,
do, you know?
actually, it's totally so that's how I know you're married. So what something interesting that's actually really different. And I see this with a lot of I know a lot of people that are now they're much older than me. They're like in their late 40s and 50s, guys and girls that are just getting divorced. And I just was talking to one of my guy friends actually this weekend. He's divorced, no kids, like nothing but much older, and he's newly divorced, and he has this mentality, and it's funny because I've grown up with both mentalities. The one that you just said, where when I was in my 20s and we didn't have online dating, if you went on 3 dates with someone, you're pretty much like supposed to be dating that person. Like
Like
you're
just
not,
them.
yes. Otherwise, you are a player and it's perceived like kind of fucked up, right?
Hmm.
So, people, if you spend time with someone, it was courting, it was like trying to make it into something serious, right? But now it's pretty much something that's not really said, but it's accepted that we're all talking to a few people. And because of that, we have the potential of going on 1 or 2 dates a week easily just from swiping. Doesn't mean you're doing it or you aren't, but that option is there. And so you kind of go out with someone kind of exploring them and being allowed to explore them without it being something serious. I'm not going to go out with someone like on 3 or 4 dates and think he's not going out with someone else either. He doesn't have to say it. I don't have to ask him. Doesn't mean he's doing it, but he does have the option because all he has to do is go home at night, talk to some girl, and set up a date tomorrow, right?
It's
That's
good in a
a
sense though, because you
possibility.
just know like it seems like
Pressure.
the pressure would be less, right? Yeah, like
Yes.
you could be like, okay,
Yes.
look, we're casually dating, but like at any point, either one
Well,
of us could just be like, see ya, you know?
Well, the funny thing is, like, my mom always goes like, "Oh, how's that guy you've been dating?" And it's like I've been hanging out with him for like 1 or 2 weeks, let's say.
Hmm.
And I'm like, "Mom, we're not dating. We're hanging out. Like, we're just getting to know each other now." Like that's. But back in the day, like I remember when I hung out with my first long-term boyfriend, we hung out nonstop for the first 2 weeks, and it was just assumed we were boyfriend and girlfriend at the end of 2 weeks. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, he'd have to go to the club and maybe meet another girl, and it wasn't as easy as online swiping. So if he's spending 2 weeks with me, it was probably something serious at that point. It was going, at least we were dating, you know. But
Yeah.
now it's not seen as that serious. So I always say like I'm hanging out with the person. I never really say dating unless like we had this like intense chemistry. We hung out every fucking day for like the last 2 weeks. But in 2 weeks, I can go out with a guy like 3 times. Like it's not as intense as it was before. So it lets us explore. It gives us the ability to not feel so guilty. Like oh, this guy's giving up his time where he could be at the club meeting someone else. Like you know what I mean, or at the
Yeah. Yeah.
bar or at some event or something meeting someone else. Like he's hanging out with me and he could just as easily be hanging out with two other girls because there's not that much effort to meet people anymore. It doesn't take that much. There are people who you could just swipe on and say, "How's it going? Want to go for dinner? Want to grab a drink? Want to go for coffee?" It takes 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So,
It's good though that it's because that was how it was a long time ago, and then when we
mhm.
were kids, it kind of went into the like if you hang out 2 times in a row, you're dating, and then it seems now like everything it's the cycle is swung the other way, and now it's set up more like where you can date multiple people casually until you get to know them all, and then you can sort of filter it down from pay or whatever you use.
And it's funny because the people who were married before, like they feel bad. They're like, "Oh my god, but I'm talking to more than one guy." Or I went on like that my guy friend. He went on like 2 dates with this girl, and he's like, "I don't know how I feel about her, but I want to go out with her another time. But I still want it to be casual." I'm like, "Oh, it is casual for her." I told him,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"She's not because she hadn't been married. She was like, I mean, he told me about the girl. She hadn't been married. She's been online for a couple of years." I'm like, "Promise you, even if she really likes you, it's casual. You're not the only person she's talking to. You can continue talking to other people." Like he was like, "Really, like it, but." Like you think it's rude because and he felt like he had to make a choice by the third date. Like he was enjoying hanging out with her, but he didn't know if she's girlfriend material. At the same time, he was sort of talking to someone else before he had gone out with that girl and felt guilty now asking that other girl to hang out. And I was like, no, you shouldn't feel guilty. You're allowed. You're allowed. Like
yeah.
it's this unspoken rule. We're all kind of doing it. If we're not doing it, the option's there, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it does take a lot of pressure off, but it is really funny watching people come from a society where that wasn't really accepted. Like if I went on 3 dates with a guy back in the day, and then let's say I go to the movies and I see him with another girl, I would be like, fuck that ass. I would never talk to him again. Because I was like,
But
you
that's how
know,
it was when we were younger. Like when we were kids, it was that, like you say, that expectation was like, you see that date that person 2, 3, 4 times, like your boyfriend, girlfriend, like you don't even really have to say anything, you know?
yeah, yeah. Like it's just a kind of, it's like at this point, it's like, because the effort of meeting someone else wasn't that easy. So if you're putting time with somebody, you're like expecting something out of it. But now we're putting time out of it, and it's like I don't have to expect something out of it because there are other options. Like it's just so easy to have another option, and it really shouldn't have the guilt of feeling like you have to make a decision on that third or fourth date if you're enjoying their company. Like
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to decide, because
Well,
the
you don't have
reality
to. Like,
is
it's not like a shit or get off the pot at the third date. It's like if you're enjoying yourselves, have a fourth date or a fifth date, right? And it's
exactly, but that doesn't mean you can't hang out with other people either. Like you don't have to decide.
mhm.
Like you can still hang out with somebody else. I mean, like when I wasn't serious, I hung out with everybody. I didn't give a fuck. But now that I am like looking for something serious, I am. I mean, after this conversation, for sure gonna give it 3 to 5 days. That's now
But like you
promise.
say,
But
it's so. I wish I had a hard and fast answer for you, which I don't. But it's like it's circumstantial. But I would definitely fall on the side of like do another date. You know what I mean? Then
it,
to be like, oh, like you don't have to make a decision. So you're like, okay, let's go on another one. Like see how it goes, or let's try something
exactly.
different. You know?
And I'm gonna do that moving forward. But it doesn't mean that I won't talk to other people online if I want to during those 3 to 5 days. Like I don't
Yeah.
have to just be that person. And that's the kind of beauty of it. And then that when you put that aspect in, it's like, well then why not just go to 3 to 5 days? And they don't all have to be these like over the top dates. They can, like, the third date could be something so casual and easygoing, and even just hanging out, because by that point maybe you feel comfortable just like going for a hike with no makeup on, or like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
But like you
so
brought
it's
up with your friend from earlier that I knew, you're like, your opinion of someone can change dramatically over the course of spending some time with them, right?
yeah, yeah. And I've had that happen. And really, when we're having this conversation now, thinking about, for me, like, you're right. I've always been really, really friendly, but I don't genuinely like a lot of people. And there are a lot of people that I didn't think I'd have anything in common with. Like my current best friend, I remember when another friend of ours was trying to introduce us, she was like, "Oh, she's Persian. She came from Iran." I was like, "I'm gonna have nothing in common with her. Like, I'm not that Persian." Like,
Yeah, yeah,
you know. And I was like, and for months she kept asking, well, like not months, I'm exaggerating, like weeks, she kept saying, "Come to dinner with us. Come to dinner with us." I was like, "Dude, she's only been in this country for 10 years. She's obviously very Persian. We're not gonna have anything in common. I'm gonna say rude shit. Like, I'm gonna, really." I'm
yeah.
not going to pretend to be a virgin. I'm not going to put makeup on to do errands. Like all these perceptions I have of Persians. And when I first met her, I was like, I don't like Persian girls. And I even named the girl that introduced us the Persian girl, because I didn't have Persian girlfriends. And so she was this only Persian girl that I knew. But the funny thing is, my girlfriend, my best friend, like she's honestly like, we get along so well and we have so much in common. And I liked her right off the bat, but I didn't know, like, oh, she totally can like take all my rude jokes. She may not say those things, but she definitely laughs at them. Like, you know what I mean? She
Right,
doesn't
yeah.
judge me for it. All these misconceptions that I had. And I like liked her, but I was always treading lightly. And then as I got to know her, the more we hung out, like even though we're so different, we're so much alike. Like we're so much alike, and we have such a healthy, easy friendship. So when you put that aspect and you take it to a relationship, and it was like, in the reality is exactly how we're describing, like going on a date. Like I didn't know things about her, but I knew I liked her. There was no red flags. I knew I got along with her,
Mhm.
so I wanted to keep hanging out with her to see if there's a friendship to grow. And there was one of the like best friends I've ever had in my life from something that I wouldn't have perceived would happen. So,
Sounds like you've
you
answered
know,
your own question then.
yeah, yeah,
Judgy pants.
yeah, judgy, judgy. Look, that's my Persian side. And
My
I keep
friend,
saying,
my
see,
friend.
no, but like here, I self-describe myself as not a Persian. Well, here is my Persian side.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
although now all the Persians are probably gonna like exit this podcast for saying we're judgmental. But listen, I don't care what any person says. You're not out the fucking door before we're talking about your whole outfit from head to toe and everything,
Oh yeah.
everything else. So, all right, we're at the 40-minute mark. Is there any last words or anything you want to kind of pipe in here?
Well, you're trying to summarize your whole theme for today. What's it going to be? More than one date?
I think that if it is something that we have commonality and I generally think the person's a good person and I get along with them, I'm from now, I don't know if I can do 5 dates, but I'm going to work on 5 dates. But that's because I'm kind of a judgmental asshole. But I think minimum 3 dates and I'm going to work up to five. And I think our advice for our listeners is to definitely try to get to that point. I think it's worth, I mean, everything you gave for the pinpoints and then really taking it into the friendship aspect of it, if you take that friendship aspect and put it into a relationship, it just makes sense.
Yeah, like for just to wrap it up, like you say, I think for me, I just, my wife's always trying to convince me to read books, which I hate doing. And,
Mm-hmm.
you force your way through the first chapter or two, then you can't put the fucking thing down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that's, if you're going to, err on the side of caution, like go on another date. Worst thing can happen is a shit date, then whatever. You get nothing to lose.
But it doesn't mean, I think what we also have to summarize too, because we've said a couple times too, like if there's something that has your integrity, like treating a waiter like shit, like huge red flags, like, or they're like, oh yeah, I cheated on every girlfriend, and oh well, even that, like that could change, like, but if there's a huge red flag, something
Yeah.
against your principles and your morals, move the fuck on.
But if you're not sure, give it another chance. Give it another date.
Yeah.
That's really, you can't go wrong. I mean, like I say, I think that's the short answer is if when in doubt, go on another one.
Especially if people aren't expecting you to be like boyfriend girlfriend on the third date. So really working
Exactly. Yeah,
those
it's
out.
not with that expectation not being there. It seems it makes it even easier just to try one more, see how it goes.
And the book metaphor was awesome because there are a lot of series that are like my favorite series, and the first few episodes are so slow, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
We did that with a show. We started watching it, and someone said, "Oh, the first season kind of sucks. Like, just skip to the second season." Then we did that. Then we couldn't put it down, and we went back and watched the first and watched all the offshoots and stuff. But yeah, I think to summarize your theme is like, yep, give it another. If you're not sure, give it another rip.
Yeah, another 3 to 5.
Don't be a
All
bitch.
right, awesome. Then next week we're talking about how soon do you introduce someone to your friends and family. It's a good one.
Good God.
All right, I'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, over and out.
Bye.
Bye.